Hi everybody, my name is Steve. I'm not a professional YouTuber, but I'm working in the tech industry and I'm using all these devices on my daily basis. Typically I have nearly the whole day Zoom and Teams calls and several other things. And I want to share you my thoughts about the Snapdragon on the new Windows platform compared to the ARM-based M chips on Apple. So if you go about 15 years in the past, you see this little guy, the MacBook Air in the first edition. This was such a perfect hardware at that time. I think there was no competition at that time. But macOS did annoy me, so I installed Boot Camp and used this machine as daily driver with Windows. But since then, many things have been changed, and typically I use Intel-based notebooks for my daily basis. But the thing I hate on all these devices, here you see a Surface laptop with a 12th gen Core i5. Here you see a Razer book with a i7 11th gen. Those devices have two big problems. The first thing is they need too much power, so the devices get hot, the fans are running, and if I use the devices on my lap, I don't like it because it's so hot. And since Apple launched the ARM platform with in this case you see here a MacBook Air with a M3 processor, 8 gig RAM, this is a whole game changer. So the last years there were no competition for Apple, in my opinion, because the Intel-based systems, the build quality is totally okay. You can't compare it with the performance and, of course, the heat and power consumption of these ARM chips. But now the game has changed, and at the beginning of the year, I would like to buy a new daily basis notebook, so thing that I can change this. And I thought, okay, I would switch from Windows back to macOS and will buy an ARM chip from Apple. But then, as you know, the last weeks, you now can order Windows laptops with an ARM chip from Snapdragon. So here you have the Surface 7 with the Qualcomm ARM X Elite chip, 16 gig of RAM. And now I would like to compare it on the daily basis. And let's see about the power consumption. So on all the devices connected with the same network, I ran a YouTube stream. And in the background, all my office applications are working for notifications. Outlook, WhatsApp, Teams. So this is the idle power consumption of those devices. And I would like to compare it between the ARM-based architecture and the x87 architecture with Intel. So I have this test about 1 hour and 11 minutes, and now let's take a look. All devices were completely loaded up to 100%, and let's see. Here we have the Surface laptop with an i5 12th generation. You see about 22% lost, only about 1 hour. This means about 20%. So I think only 4 or 5 hours of usage in this simple task, just playing a video. Okay, 22. Let's see about this device. It's in Core i7, 11th generation. What do you see here? 60%. So do you see? It's now 70%, so 30% were lost only because of video playback about an hour. And the device is warm and the fans are running just because of a simple playback of video. So 30% for 1 hour and 12 minutes. So this is the Intel world, from 20 to 30% which I lost for 1 hour video playback. Now let's see what the ARM processors do. Let's see here, go to the bar. I see, so 94, 6% lost for 1 hour and 12 minutes, 6%. The same now on the Windows Snapdragon device, 95, 5%. Wow, this is the first time since the ARM chip, the M processor started at Mac, that a Windows machine can compete and be at the same level. So you have 5% lost, 1 hour and 30 minutes, and 6% lost. So I say the power consumption of both devices now is at the same level. If we take a look about the heat, both devices are totally cool. Thumbs up, Microsoft, or in combination with Snapdragon. So in my opinion, real world test, it's really very cool. Now I have this device for some days and I used it for my daily basis work. So typically, as I told you, I have Teams call the whole day. And as you know, there are fans integrated that can speed up if the device gets really very hot. And here, you know, in the MacBook Air, you don't have fans. So in my daily basis, when do the fans come up and make some noise? So in every situation, if you have it only in this setup with one screen, you won't have any fan noise in my tests. In my home office, these devices are connected to a 5K Dell monitor. So I have two screens with a high resolution. In this scenario, if I do only office work, heavy browsing, mail, and of course when I have Teams calls with video on, the fans will not spin up. It gets a little bit warm in the same way as the MacBook it does. So in this situation, totally fanless, super quiet, and no big heat on the surface of the keyboard. Thumbs up too. The only situation I saw that the fan goes to the lowest level is I have Teams video calls with a second screen and I use desktop sharing. So I have about 10 participants and the video is on, audio is on, and I make a screen share of my notebook. Then in the Teams call, the fans go to the lowest setting, so not very annoying. But if you stop the call, about 30 seconds later, the fan stops again and the device runs cool again. So the only setup in my setup is video call with external monitor, desktop sharing in Teams. The fans go a little bit up. But if I do the same here on the MacBook, it doesn't have fans. That's the difference. But the chassis gets warmer. It's not hot, but it gets warmer than this one because of the fans. So I would say that now on the same architecture, M chips and the Snapdragon X Elite chips, this is a competitive platform, and I'm very happy that this happens because now I think if I want to buy the Mac or the Windows machine, so this is equal. So it depends on your needs. In my opinion, I will stay now at the Windows machine because I'm a tech guy. I like new things and I'm very interested in how the next month Microsoft will develop new features with the Copilot. And of course, if the drivers get better, how will it change? So I'm interested in the change of this platform. So I will stay with the Windows machine, but nevertheless, two machines are really perfect build quality. Everything is really, really good. And now you have the choice again, because in the past, if you have only those Intel and ARM-based x86 platforms, those were not really compatible to that. Thumbs ups, Microsoft and Surface.